What's up guys, this is Anime Crossover. I'm back with another episode of What If Naruto Was Trained by the Siege of Six Paths Part 8, and if you did enjoy this video, give this video a like, and if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. Now let's begin this new video.
Chapter 14. The supernatural wager begins. Say what? Naruto couldn't believe his ears or eyes as he tried to comprehend what he had just heard. He had been chosen as an Olympian God's champion, but for what? What do you mean by, I'm your champion? He asked, dispelling his Rasengan but still holding his Hiraishin kunai. During my time, you mortals treated us with the utmost respect, Poseidon said to the boy, shaking his head. Sorry, Lord Poseidon. Naruto said before he bowed to the god to repent his last action. I'm just very surprised of all this. I mean, I read books about Greek mythology not too long ago, but I didn't give a second thought about your existence. Yes, he read books during his stay at Urahara's shop since he refused to go to school and cried about barely graduating the academy, and the first book he read was Greek mythology. In addition, the sage once told him a metaphor, knowledge is power. Poseidon grinned and chuckled at the boy. I can understand that. Unfortunately, we gods faded into legends and myths over the centuries. I assume you have questions and want an explanation. Naruto reluctantly nodded, and Poseidon gestured to him. What would you like to know? Well, I guess what this place is, and where exactly am I? You are standing in Mount Olympus, Hall of the Gods. Naruto's eyes widened in response to the response. Mount Olympus? As in the mountain that houses the Olympians after the Great War against the Titans? He replied with a nod. Oh boy.
You can say that again, Kurama said, his gaze now fixed on the conversation. When the boy said, "Oh boy," again, a drop of sweat ran down the fox's face. You idiot, I didn't mean it literally.
As the Olympian was about to speak, Naruto put on his listening ears, ignoring his partner. You should be honored, Naruto. Very few mortals in history have ever been allowed to set foot on Olympus, Poseidon said to the boy. The sea god is actually surprised by how the boy perceives his existence and the respect he exhibits following his initial reaction. Naruto frowned and folded his arms. Wait a minute. I never mentioned my name to you at all, so how do you know it? Were you stalking me or something? He sweated when the man whistled casually. You were stalking me. I actually read your mind, Poseidon muttered lowly, looking away. But, sadly, it was not low enough. Wait, did you just say you read my mind? Ignore that. Do you have any other questions? Naruto narrowed his eyes but agreed because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that he does not want to waste. Alright, where are the other Olympians? Why does the hall feel so empty and lifeless? Why did you choose me as your champion? And where can I go to get a weapon forged like your trident, which is a thing of beauty? Poseidon laughed before responding to the questions in a different order. My trident was forged by the Cyclops after Zeus freed them from Tartarus during the Great War, so your chances of getting a weapon forged by them are slim to none, and yes, it is a thing of beauty. Secondly, I chose you as my champion because I saw your skills as a warrior when you fought those pitiful creatures you call hollows 2 weeks ago. What? A surprised Naruto asked. But, Lord Poseidon, from what I've read, you guys are really powerful. He can't afford to be disrespectful because he doesn't feel the Olympians' power at all. So it's better to be on a god's good side than on his bad side. Instead of responding immediately, Poseidon lightly tapped the butt of his trident on the ground, causing water chairs to appear behind him and Naruto. He motioned for the boy to take a seat, which he did, and to his surprise, Naruto didn't feel the water penetrate his clothing at all, making him quite comfortable. Have you read about the god of the Bible? Inquired the sea god as he took his seat. Somewhat. I just started reading the Bible yesterday. It's very interesting and full of wisdom, even if I have difficulty understanding the text at times, but I understand it.
Poseidon sighed heavily. Long ago, there was an intense war between the three factions of the Bible, the angels led by God, the devils led by the four Satans, and the fallen angels led by Azazel. These factions are also the major powerhouses of the world because mortals study and inherited the religion. He paused for Naruto to process this new information before continuing. The war grew intense enough that the fallen angels enlisted the Titans to gain advantage in the upcoming.
Wait a minute. If the Titans allied with the fallen angels and you allied with the angels, how did the devils survive the war? They enlisted the assistance of the Gigantes, and they.
The Gigantes? Who are they? Because I've never read anything about them, Naruto pondered, his fingers on his chin.
Aside from the Titans and the banes of us Olympians, they are gay as other children. How come? Poseidon sighed collectively, an agitated mark on his forehead. If you stop interrupting me, I can tell you, he heard the blonde say angrily. The gigantes were born to destroy us. You could say they were the polar opposite of us. Like polyboats would turn water into acid, he is my bane. Whoa. Make no mistake. We were still powerful and won't go down easily, plus the devil's leader was extremely powerful, so he proved to be quite the adversary. Naruto could tell by the Olympian's sad frown that this memory is difficult to talk about, especially with family and close friends. The battle was great, with the three factions losing significant numbers of their kind, and the same went for us. The Titans lost Oceanus, Hyperion, and several more Titans. The Gigantes are eradicated, and Hestia, my brothers, and I survived the battle, but it wasn't over yet. Did something else happen? Naruto inquired of the god. Poseidon was about to continue his explanation when he abruptly looked to his left and rose from his seat, prompting the perplexed yet cautious shinobi to do the same. Do you mean Lord Poseidon? They're on their way. Who? When Poseidon realized something else, he didn't respond, as if he had forgotten something important. Ah, I didn't give you your equipment, so here. He snapped his fingers.
Naruto was about to say something when his right arm began to glow brightly, startling him slightly. He looked down at his arm after the light went out and noticed a golden armlet hugging it. It was made up of 3 parts, the first of which is located at his upper shoulder, on the side of his head. The second section covers his biceps, and the final section covers his lower arm.
What is this? It's surprisingly light, the shinobi said, examining the armlet and flexing his hand and entire arm. He noticed a ram design on the bicep and lower arm parts at that point. It is the Golden Fleece, and it will aid you in your journey and victories. Before Naruto could react, 2 similar and burning lights appeared near him and Poseidon, effectively silenced any words or thoughts in the shinobi's mind. In the meantime, Kenpachi versus Hidan Soul Society. Ha 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 ha. Exclaimed 2 crazed combatants from their respective worlds, Hidan of the Akatsuki and Kenpachi of the 11th Division. Clashes of steel were heard from their battleground, and shockwaves from their weapons shook the ground in nearby buildings as the 2 warriors continued to attack in the hopes of overpowering each other, but nothing happened so far because they appear to be on equal terms. After parrying a strike, the crazed Kenpachi slashed at Hidan, who jumped back to avoid it. Ha 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 ha. I love your battling spirit, kid. If only my other rivals had your attitude and spirit. Of course he would act this way. Who wouldn't after meeting someone with a personality similar to theirs? Even though you are my enemy, I admire your desire to fight. We're like 2 sides of the same coin, Hidan said as he swung his scythe over his head by the rope. However, he released his chakra to the maximum level in an attempt to intimidate the tall man, but it had no effect. You will die and be sacrificed to Jashin. What are you, and what's with the getup? He said, motioning to the man's black clothing. Kenpachi smirked as he released more spirit energy, raising his spiritual pressure to match that of his opponent. This is the Shinigami uniform, and I am a captain of one of the 13 divisions. Hidan's smirk turned into a frown when he began cackling at him. The "are you serious or stupid" kind of cackling. What's the big deal?
Why, you're a Shinigami. Hidan laughed again. That's a good one. I never heard anything as atrocious as that claim. He stopped swinging his scythe and pointed it at his larger opponent. As much as I love to fight and the idea of dismembering you into pieces, I have to get back to finding 9 tails.
The 9 tails? Kenpachi's curiosity piqued. Is the guy strong? Ichigo, Naruto, and now this 9 tails guy. Where do the strong opponents keep coming from? Guy? I guess you could call him that. He is known as the most powerful of the 9-tailed beasts in my world, and we're looking for him. And his partner, Hidan said, raising a brow. Who is his associate? I'm not sure why I'm telling you this, but his partner is that bastard blonde kid, Naruto Uzumaki, Hidan snorted, noticing the one-eyed man shiver in his place. What? How dare he? Screamed Kenpachi, his body covered in spirit energy. He knows a very strong guy and kept him from me. If I see him, I'll push him to death and force him to tell me where the 9 tails is. Hidan shivered as he stared at the similarly crazed man. That's a little much even for him. Should I mention that the 9 tails is also sealed inside Uzumaki? The sweat drop became more noticeable when the man next to him threw a tantrum and destroyed the building next to him. I'm sure Kakuzu's opponent is nothing like this. Kakuzu vs Byakuya, False Darkness, Lightning Style. Byakuya, Hado number 4. The clash of the 2 techniques created a smoke cloud and shattered the ground into rubbles. 2 blurs clashed once more in the cloud, releasing a shockwave that dispersed the cloud and revealing Byakuya clashing his blade against Kakuzu's black yet durable arms. Byakuya quickly broke the fight and spun around to deliver a powerful horizontal swing at his opponent, who blocked it but was knocked backwards on his feet.
Impressive. I've witnessed battles in combat before, but I haven't seen swordsman skills like yours in a long time, not since I fought Hashirama Senju.
Byakuya responded, though it's only been a few minutes, you have incredible combat skills. Not many people receive compliments from me. You should feel honored, Kakuzu. That's funny. I never mentioned my name once, and yet you know it. You also said Uzumaki is an ally of the Gote 13, he said, getting a slight nod from the captain. I see. You don't happen to know where he is, do you? Whether or not I know where he is, you and the Shinju have an agenda involving him, and I and the Gote 13 captains will not allow you to harm him or our home, Byakuya declared boldly as he increased his spirit energy. Kakuzu sighed as he raised his chakra to the highest level, his tone becoming solemn. All right, when I'm done playing with you, I'll rip your heart from your body and add your unique abilities to my arsenal. With that said, the warriors charged at each other and clashed, unleashing a pillar of energy for all to see in the sky. Mount Olympus Hall of the Gods. He was unaffected by the slightly burning sensation this time because of his accelerated healing rate, and he was prepared for it, but the light was a different story because he covered his eyes again. HMMPH, Poseidon, it appears you gave your champion the golden fleece. I had a feeling you'd had it for a while. Naruto lowered his arms and was stunned by the two new arrivals. One of them was fair-skinned, tall, muscular, and has black hair with electrically blue eyes. He wears a dark blue long-sleeved, tight shirt with matching pants and black shoes, and in his hand is a 2-foot-long shaft of dark blue crystallized lightning. He must be Zeus, god of the sky and king of Olympus, Naruto reasoned as his gaze shifted to the weapon in the king god's hand, and that must be the Master Bolt. According to mythology, its power is nearly unstoppable, rivaled only by Poseidon's Trident and Hades' weapon. Achu, Gesundheit. You're fine, because I've never heard you sneeze before. Do you have a cold? Kurama irritably sniffed. No, I don't get colds or sick. It's coming from his lightning toy. Something about it irritates me in an unfathomable way.
Hearing that, Naruto took a deep breath and recoiled slightly. What is that, ozone?
I'm not sure. I think you should punch that guy in the face. I'm not going to punch the god of the sky because you tell me to, Naruto exclaimed, sweating profusely. I'll do it with other megalomaniacs no problem, but against a god, I'm not sure I'm optimistic. And you call yourself my Jinchuriki, Kurama teased the boy, snorting. Whatever. Naruto then turned his gaze to the other guy, who was standing a little further away from Zeus. He was a tall, imposing, and muscular man with albino white skin, shoulder-length black hair, and intense black eyes that were the eyes of a madman. He wore a high collar and pitch-black robe that was closed off with a sash that reached the floor, which fit his demeanor as a madman. Before Poseidon spoke again, Naruto thought to himself, and that guy must be Hades. Hades. Zeus. It's been a while. Zeus nodded as Hades scoffed at him, but he ignored it, and then he looked behind his brothers, puzzled. Where are your champions? Poseidon inquired. Hades and Zeus both laughed at their brother's question. Are you worried, brother? Teased Zeus before snapping his fingers, as did his older brother. One man was tall and powerful looking with gray hair and a vertical scar on his chin. He wears a long brown overcoat on top of a suit with a ring on his right index finger and an armlet similar to the golden fleece but with the design of the thunder god himself on his left arm. Oh, Naruto said to a surprised Poseidon, I didn't expect you to hand over the gauntlet to your champion, Zeus. You're desperate for your champion to win. Wonder what exactly. Both Kurama and Naruto commented at the same time. Well, I found you. Naruto. The blonde shinobi looked at the other champion, who was wearing a long coat with a hood covering his face, but for some reason, he recognizes him, and Naruto gets a bad case of nostalgia.
Should I recognize you? Asked the Jinchuriki, as the gods and Zeus champion listened to the two mortals' conversation.
I'm a little disappointed you don't recognize me, the hooded man chuckled before grabbing his hood. Allow me to remind you. The man drew his hood down to reveal a scaly face with snake-like pupils, pale skin, white hair, and, finally, a familiar pair of glasses. Kabuto. Naruto said dangerously calmly with narrowed eyes, not expecting this at all. As he remembered, Itachi Uchiha, Sasuke's brother, broke free from Kabuto's reanimation jutsu and went after him during the Fourth Shinobi World War. Unnerved by the blonde's stare, Kabuto chuckled at the question. I will only tell you if you can beat me during the wager. What's his problem? Naruto growled silently until he noticed Zeus champion's glare. That is irrelevant. I'll have to watch my back and keep an eye on these two, he reflected before turning to face the sea god. Lord Poseidon, you didn't exactly tell me what the wager is? Silence. When the thunder god said, "Now listen up mortals," Naruto recoiled and remained silent. You have been selected to take part in the wager of the gods. You will face danger around every corner, and lastly, he received smug smirks from his and Hades champion, but a confused look from the blonde mortal. Best of luck to you mortals.
Before Naruto could say anything, lightning struck him and the other champions, and they vanished from the presence of the gods.
In each other's company, the three brothers maintained a comfortable silence. They haven't spoken in a long time, so they're taking the opportunity to capture the moment. Until Zeus shattered it, have the spectators been notified? Poseidon and Hades smiled, their eyes glowing and projecting light from them. Good. We don't want them to think we'd leave this world without appointing someone to take our places, Zeus said. Unknown address, oh, Naruto wheezed, stumbling away from the scorch mark, clutching his stomach. Remind me to beat the crap out of that pervy bastard, Kurama. I now want to punch him in the face. Kurama laughed as he watched the teen puke whatever he had eaten out of his stomach. Check out your surroundings. When the Jinchuriki looked up, he was surrounded by thick and tall trees, with small sunlight rays breaking through the branches and tree leaves. Nature's energy is coursing through him, which feels good given his current situation. Where exactly am I? You'd better get moving, Naruto, if you want to win.
Naruto searched the area for the source of the god's voice, but couldn't find him. Where are you, and how are you talking to me right now? You haven't even told me what the wager is. Barked the boy. Kurama agreed and is not happy about it.
Start heading north, and I'll tell you on the way. Fox, why don't you tell him? When the Olympian mentioned the latter, Naruto's eyes widened, as did Kurama's. How did Poseidon become aware of the tailed beast? Relax, you two. I haven't told anyone about your friend's existence. Yet, I strongly advise you to follow my advice, Naruto. Naruto reluctantly agreed and jumped to a nearby tree branch before proceeding in the intended direction among tree branches. What will he do to get out of this? Poseidon clearly knows about Kurama, but he didn't detect any negative emotions or feelings from the god, implying that he is on their side. Can gods hide their negative feelings? Naruto spoke through the link after jumping off another branch. All right, Lord Poseidon, how did you learn about Kurama, and what is this wager Zeus mentioned? You better explain yourself, sea god, and no straying from the subject, Kurama said, keeping an eye on the immortal being in case he tried to harm him or his partner. I don't care if you're a god. If you're not honest with us, my partner and I will beat the crap out of you. I knew about the fox because I sensed it while you were fighting the hollows. I admit I was surprised to feel its powerful energy coming from you, but I knew you were strong as well. Alright, so, what exactly is the wager? Is it a contest, a battle tournament, or a race? All three. The wager of gods was originally between us Olympians. 12 of us choose one mortal, whether a regular mortal or a demigod, to represent us. It begins when the champions are battle-ready and are told to retrieve an object at a specific location and return that object to the god he or she represents by any means necessary. So the wager is a race between Naruto and your brother's champions, and chances are he will fight them on their way to the object's location. Among other things, in his opinion, Kurama narrowed his eyes at the vague response, but decided to ignore it for the time being. What is the prize, and where is it? Naruto listened in as he noticed a clearing in the forest ahead of him and increased his current speed. The prize is extremely rare and the last of its kind, and it is located in a city in the west.
Where? In Los Angeles. Naruto fell in the middle of a jump and slammed into an incoming tree before sliding to the ground. Los Angeles? Are you kidding me? That's in the United States. How am I supposed to get from Greece to there? It'll take days, weeks even. He grumbled as he walked the rest of the way to the clearing. I also don't have any money. Naruto, you do know you can run very fast and use a technique to render yourself invisible, Kurama interjected, an annoyed mark on its head, plus you can use seal the fleece into one of your scrolls when you're not in battle. Naruto stopped in his tracks, causing the fox to sigh to himself. Why me?
Is he not very bright at times? To say that is an understatement.
Naruto exclaimed, Oi, with a tick mark. Asterisk chuckle. You won't have to worry about the fleece because it's imbued with a spell that conceals itself and gives the appearance of another object to those who see it.
Kurama sighed as he simplified it. Basically, he means that if someone sees the fleece, they'll see a cast or something instead, the grinning shinobi confirmed. Alright, now let's win this wager, and you know how much I despise losing. Naruto's grin widened as he slammed his right hand into his left palm. Right? Let's win this for us and Lord Poseidon. The said god laughed at his champion's optimism. I wish you two luck, Poseidon said, cutting the link with an unintended consequence. A jolt of pain within the two partners' minds. That never happens when Naruto and Kurama do it, so why should he? Naruto grimaced, clutching his aching head. You'd think he'd give us a warning or something before he did that. The fox agreed with a growl. After the pain subsided, Naruto emerged from the woods to find a vast expanse of grass and crops before him. Alright. Now to figure out where I am. Is that a warning sign ahead? Where? Naruto asked, putting his hand over his eyes to sharpen his vision. Kurama instructed him to turn slightly to the left. Oh, I see it. Looks to be about 200 yards from here. Not bad for a jog, I'd say. He was about to take off when a twig snapped in the forest. What exactly was it? A loud and thunderous roar shook the very ground and stripped the trees of their leaves before he spoke the final word. Hearing trees fall to the ground, Naruto jumped out of the way as a large golden blur charged out of the forests, knocking down countless trees in its wake. He managed to get a look after landing and was completely taken aback when he saw the creature. It was the size of a pickup truck, with golden glittering fur, silver razor-sharp claws on all four legs, and stainless steel razor-sharp fangs. A lion? Naruto wondered, staring at the growling yet abnormally large lion. Am I in Africa? I don't believe there are lions with golden fur and silver claws in Africa, Naruto, but it looks strangely familiar for some reason. I can't quite put my finger on it, Kurama replied, pondering where he had seen the creature before. It was right on the tip of his tongue, but it wouldn't come out. Gah, he despises it. Don't you mean, claw? Naruto teased the fox, who responded with an annoyed growl. The lion roared at the boy, signaling its impending charge and prompting Naruto to assume his frog kata stance. When the creature landed next to him and slammed a familiar blue sphere against its exposed right side, the shinobi waited until the last second before sidestepping its pounce. Rasengan. Naruto let go of his signature, expecting the lion to be flung back into the forest, only to be surprised when it didn't. The lion was pushed back 5 yards instead of the usual 15, and there was no spiral mark of any kind, not even a scratch, on the side where the Rasengan made contact. This is one tough and resilient lion. It roared in rage before charging at its prey once more, this time leaving massive paw prints and a dust cloud in its wake. The lion's surprising speed caught Naruto off guard as it pounced at him again, his front limbs stretched and claws shining as if ready to stab into his flesh. He quickly drew Tenkaichi, sidestepped the lion's attack, and counter-attacked with a wind-enhanced double-handed horizontal slash at the lion's exposed left side.
Instead of tearing flesh and wailing in agony, he heard grinding. What the? Naruto trailed off as he leaned backwards, dodging the tail's surprise attack. He jumped backwards away from the lion, putting some distance between himself and the unexpectedly tough opponent. What's up with this lion? The Rasengan had no effect, and even with my wind chakra added to it, my sword couldn't pierce it.
This is a disaster. Could the creature withstand the more powerful techniques in his ninjutsu arsenal if it can withstand a direct hit from a powerful technique like the Rasengan?
Immense speed and strength, and the size of a pickup truck.
Kurama muttered to himself as he tried to come up with words to describe this creature. How did he come across that description? From a newspaper article. What is the internet? A book? Wait a minute, his Jinchuriki read a Greek mythology book before this whole thing. Something about a giant lion and the legendary hero Hercules. Oh boy. Naruto. This lion is not like any other, it is a legendary creature from Greek mythology who gave Hercules a run for his money. This is the Nemean lion. The Nemean lion? Roared the creature, as if it was aware of its intimidating name. You've got to be kidding me. The first creature I end up facing is one of the strongest and most terrifying creatures in Greek mythology. Naruto thought to himself as a confident smirk tugged at his lips. This is going to be exciting. Come on, you walking bag of fur. You better make this exciting for me. The lion roared and charged at Naruto, as if it understood what he said. Naruto sheathed his sword and cupped his hands together in preparation for the lion's charge. When both beings were 10 feet apart, a bluish-white Rasengan with 4 small white blade-like protrusions erupted between Naruto's hands. As the shinobi thrust the technique onto the surprised lion's face, a smirk appeared on his face. Wind style, Rasengan, yelled Naruto as he was engulfed in a bright light that also engulfed the lion. Ha! Hidan deflected another strike, which pushed him back, crashed through a building, and became embedded in another. His cloak is torn, with the right half missing, as well as the left shoe and pant leg. Blood was streaming down the right side of his brow, but the shinobi's maniacal grin remained intact. Despite getting kicked in the shins, he enjoys fighting the Shinigami juggernaut. In that case, here he comes, yah! Kenpachi exclaimed as he swung his spirit energy-filled sword vertically. Hidan jumped over the wall and rolled out of the way before slashing at Kenpachi's exposed left side and drawing blood. Kenpachi retaliated with a quick horizontal strike aimed at Hidan's midsection, drawing blood as well, before the latter jumped back, ignoring his stomach's profuse bleeding. Both men retained their maniacal grins as they charged each other and unleashed volleys of blade strikes. This is a maniacal battle with no regard for other disciplines. Neither will admit defeat or lose until one of them is dead or less. Minutes passed, and the two combatants continued to slash at each other, showing no signs of fatigue. That is, until Kenpachi disrupted Hidan's rhythm and guard. As Hidan staggered backwards, clutching the deep gash on his body, a large shower of blood fell on the ground and building walls. It ran across his torso from the bottom of his right hip to his left shoulder. Slash marks covered his arms, legs, and face, with blood dripping from the wounds. His coat has been ripped to shreds, exposing his upper torso and revealing more slash marks. Kenpachi had slash marks on his shoulders, left torso, and right leg, and his captain's cloak was drenched in blood. But he paid no attention as he burst out laughing. "This is fantastic. I love fighting, especially against someone like you, kid. It's a shame you have to die, but I intend to fight for as long as I have to." "As long as you have to? You mean you weren't taking me seriously?" muttered Hidan before snapping his head and staring at Kenpachi madly. "How dare you make fun of me and Jashin? You mean you've been holding back?" His dark purple chakra flared around his body, shattering the ground and creating winds from the power output. "Let's put everything into this strike. If I win, I'm going to take your head." Kenpachi was astounded by his opponent's spiritual pressure and complied by removing his eye patch. A massive surge of golden-green spirit energy erupted from the Shinigami before forming into a skull above him the moment he did so. Hidan's chakra began to surge even more as if in response to the challenge, before forming into a man's head with black skin and white tattoos around its face, similar to Hidan's forbidden technique. When a single leaf touched the ground in the middle, both warriors charged and swung their weapons when they were within close range of each other, enveloped in a bright light. Kakuzu vs. Byakuya, pressure damage from wind style. Byakuya Shunpo dodged the tornado-like attack, the unfortunate target being the building he was standing on. When he appeared on another building, a bright light followed by a massive explosion from afar drew his and the other captain's attention. Kenpachi and Hidan are fighting in the aftermath of the explosion. You should not look away from your opponent. Byakuya quickly spun around and swung his sword at Kakuzu, but was again blocked by the latter's black arms. "Your ninjutsu is impressive, just as Uzumaki said," he said, pushing back the shinobi before firing another Byakurai, which was also dodged. "So the Nine-Tails brat told you about me and my abilities. Am I to assume he also told you about my idiot partner's abilities?" There was no response. "It doesn't matter because you'll all bow before the Shinju," Kakuzu declared as he made several hand gestures. "Taste defeat by my earth grudge, Shinigami," Byakuya said, remaining stoic even as his opponent's spiritual pressure and appearance changed dramatically. Hundreds of thick, gray tendrils and black threads formed tentacles, one of which protruded from Kakuzu's mouth. "Farewell." The 5 tentacles charged at the Shinigami captain without hesitation, causing a shockwave. "Victory is near." Spread. Senbon Sakura. When the tentacles were shredded into small fragments by millions of Sakura blades while the Shinigami remained unharmed, Kakuzu's eyes widened in surprise. "What's the matter, Kakuzu? You look like you've never seen a Zanapakuto's Shikai." The seated audience could have sworn a small teasing smile crept across the captain's face for a moment before realizing something else. Byakuya lifted his Zanpakuto after its blade reformed, ignoring the indignant yell of, "Did he just make a joke?" "It's odd," Kakuzu said, snapping out of his trance. "I don't think I've met an opponent like you, Kakuzu, in all my years as a Shinigami, and unfortunately, your end is now." Whatever words Kakuzu was about to say were lost as he felt indescribable pain after Byakuya suddenly appeared behind him. Not his physical body, but his soul, was ripped from him. His eyes rolled back as he lay lifeless on the ground after his chakra was extinguished.
Byakuya sighed, sheathing his blade and staring at the lifeless corpse. The Senka technique allows you to use Shunpo to move to your opponent's back while attacking and sealing their Sakatsu and Hakusui. This effectively reduces the opponent's energy flow.
"What is it now?" Byakuya asked, not looking back as Soifan and the others appeared behind him through Shunpo. In the meantime, Urahara's shop Karakura town, What was it, Naruto?
As Rukia continued to explain, Ichigo moved his jaw to pop his ears to ensure they were working properly. It's exactly what Ichigo said. Naruto has been kidnapped, Rukia said, sitting on her knees alongside Ichigo and Renji. Urahara and Yoruichi were there, as were you, Chad, and Orihime. Ruru, Jinta, and Tessai, on the other hand, were preparing something for everyone to drink in order to temporarily cool things down.
By whom? Inquired a concerned Orihime, her hands covering her well-endowed figure. Renji made a shaky motion with his head. That's the worst part. We have no idea who took him or where he is. If the Bounce are behind this, they're in big trouble. Naruto's true strength is unknown to Ichigo and the others, but he should have no trouble eliminating whoever kidnapped him. HMPH, Urahara thought, his hand on his chin. Do we have any idea who is behind it? Ichigo's turn to speak came. All we know is that Naruto turned into water and disintegrated into mist before Rukia received word of the invasion of Soul Society. What are we going to do, Urahara? First, we'll figure out who the intruders are, and then we'll go find Naruto, Urahara said again as Ichigo was about to speak up. Naruto is powerful enough to fight Yamamoto without dying. You should have more faith in his abilities.
You are correct. Ichigo and everyone else turned their heads so quickly that they almost broke their necks when they saw a tall man wearing an open Hawaiian shirt with blue tattoos on his chest and arms, Bermuda shorts, and a golden three-pronged spear in his right hand. The teenagers are perplexed as to how the man managed to sneak up on them and why he did not attack them when their guard was down.
Poseidon. How are you, old friend? Urahara asked casually, his face hidden behind his fan. Wait. Did he? A stunned Renji asked. Just say, a stunned Rukia interjected. Poseidon. The aforementioned Olympian looked at the shocked teenagers and chuckled. That's the same expression your friend had, though he played it a little more dramatic. When Urahara noticed Ichigo about to approach Poseidon, he said, Ichigo, don't do anything. Poseidon is an old friend of mine, and I'm pretty sure how this relates to Naruto. He then looked at his old friend, who was creeping up against the shy Orihime, and made an odd remark about her body. I still see the pervert. Is that so? Poseidon asked, surprised. How about that one time when you managed to get a naked picture of Urahara jumped on his back and clamped his hands on his mouth, muffled the words. What did he mean by that? Urahara tensed as Yoruichi's glare pierced his back. Don't tell me that was you two peeping at me in the showers that time? Jaunty whistles reached her ears. That was you two.
Sweet drops slid down everyone's brow as they watched Yoruichi unleash the wrath of a scorned woman on the two males. He's an Olympian god, and a woman is kicking his ass. Yoruichi, you're still as feisty as ever, Poseidon murmured as he stood up, using his trident to balance himself with numerous bumps on his head. Now for the reason I came here,
Did you choose Naruto to be your champion in the wager of gods between yourself and your brothers? Smart as always, Kazuki. That's what I like about you, Poseidon said, turning to face the stunned audience, particularly Ichigo, Rukia, and Renji. So the Shinigami are still around. That's good because Naruto will need your help soon, he said, pointing his left finger at a perplexed Ichigo.
What do you mean by that? Renji inquired, and Poseidon teleported away from his position, mist covering his tracks and location. Wait, what now?
3 projection screens appeared out of nowhere in the center of the room, surprising everyone. 2 of them displayed unknown figures and abilities, but one was a familiar whiskered blonde who they all recognized. There's Naruto, Rukia exclaimed, directing everyone's attention to the screen on the far right. And what is he doing? They wondered as they watched Naruto sheathe his sword before facing the creature he was facing, and they heard 3 words. Rasengan, says the wind. A bluish-white Rasengan appeared just before they collided, and a bright light enveloped them both. Naruto versus the Nemean lion. As a result of direct contact with the wind variant of the Rasengan, a large dust cloud obscured the clear sky and a small shockwave shook the ground itself. A gust of wind blew away the dust, revealing Naruto in the spot where he met the lion's charge, arms stretched out and palms facing out from using the wind style. Rasengan. He drew in his arms and looked at his hands before whistling gratefully. I need to start using that technique more often, Naruto muttered to himself as he took a deep breath, hoping it would be the last.
Roar. No, it is not over. Of course, it wouldn't affect him. When the cloud dissipated and revealed the creature, Naruto was surprised to see the lion's forehead scorching where he slammed his technique. Not only that, but the lion was only 10 yards away this time, as opposed to the previous time when there were trench marks in the ground. I retract that.
So your wind chakra has an effect on that overgrown cat's face, Kurama said, pausing before adding, if your ninjutsu has an effect on its face. Perhaps its internal body is vulnerable as well, Naruto realized as he avoided a claw swipe from the charging lion, further enraged it. Wonderful idea, partner. Kurama snorted proudly and smiled. Of course. I am the strongest and most powerful of the nine-tailed beasts. Since the death of their father figure, the fox has held the belief that the strongest among the tailed beasts is determined by the number of tails they have. That all changed when he and Naruto became friends and partners. However, depending on the circumstances, that philosophy may return. Naruto smirked at his partner's arrogance. Alright, strongest, dial it back a bit. We don't want to inflate your ego too much or your head will explode, he said after performing a series of backward handstands to avoid another failed lion pounce. I'll bite you. They aren't in season yet, Naruto teased the fox even more. How dare you? I can't believe you actually said that to me, Kurama exclaimed, before becoming enraged.
I better cut the link before he leaves me unable to hear. Again, Naruto grumbled as he closed the link, drowning out the fox's ramblings. That's better, he said, forming the familiar cross-seal, shadow clone jutsu. Several clones appeared next to him, much to the lion's surprise. Boys, get him. Hi, exclaimed the clones. The Nemean lion was puzzled as the identical clones armed themselves with knives. Some of them jumped, while others charged. It snarled, a deep growl in its throat, before roaring at the approaching clones and confronting them with its might. When an incoming clone turned into a puff of smoke, the lion let out a surprised grunt and swiped its right claw at it.
With his arms folded behind his back, Naruto watched the lion tear apart his clones with impressive speed despite its enormous size and sheer strength, despite the fact that it had just sent a clone into the woods, knocking a few trees down. He then witnessed the lion snatching the last clone with his fangs digging into its torso before chomping further into the body. Bye-bye, Naruto said casually, waving to the lion. Instead of the clone's puff of smoke, blue lightning struck its senses, particularly its internal organs, and violently shocked the lion. It may have impenetrable fur that can withstand whatever life throws at it, but its internal organs are just as vulnerable as those of any other living creature. A few moments later, the creature collapsed to the ground, its eyes bleeding and its last breath expelled from its body. Lightning style. Shadow clone jutsu. Never leave home without learning it. He was about to leave when something caught his eye. What the? Naruto muttered as a surprising event unfolded in front of him. The lion had turned into gold dust instead of decomposing like other living beings, but that wasn't even the most surprising part. The pelt of fur left behind, just laying there on the ground, surprised him. Now what do I do with this? He asked, picking it up and inspecting the golden fur. Keep it, kid. According to legend, Heracles took the pelt and wore it as a cape to demonstrate his success, and its magic still works today. So he decided to stop rambling and got over his hurt pride.
You mean it's still impenetrable? Naruto inquired, his brow furrowed. Kurama's response was a growl. Okay, I wonder if I can turn this into a jacket.
For a brief moment after he said that, the pelt growled brightly. The glow faded away, revealing a black leather jacket with golden lines running from the sleeves to the shoulders, connected to a light circle with the golden lines stretching all the way to the back of the jacket, revealing a golden Uzumaki swirl crest in the center. Wow, Naruto exclaimed, and Kurama agreed. Put it on, Naruto. With this and the golden fleece, you're practically indestructible. Kurama chuckled to himself before laughing maniacally at the thought of his Jinchuriki easily winning the wager. Nobody can stop us now. Take it easy, now find out where I am. Naruto struggled to put on the new leather jacket due to the fleece clinging to his arm. Nice fit. Comfy and soft too, he said after sealing his old one in a scroll and sunshining to the large sign that would tell him where he was. He read the words embedded in the sign, which said, "Welcome to Colorado." So, I'm in Colorado, and Los Angeles, if I recall correctly, is in California. Which is in the west, Naruto said, putting his right finger in his mouth before raising it in the air. He could feel the wind on his right side. Naruto then turned his body in the opposite direction of the wind breeze, saying, "West is that way," as he loosened his shoulders, arms, and legs before blending in with the environment around him. All that remained of his presence were deep, multiple footprints in the grass and an indistinguishable blur leading west. Underworld, a castle-like mansion with a sense of grace and nobility, stands beneath the unexpected purple sky. There are several couches and tables in the main living room in the center of the building. A man and a woman stood in front of a floating projecting screen in the center of the room, with the latter standing behind him. My, this is quite surprising, a man said, his tone peaked. He was a tall, fit man in his early 20s with shoulder-length crimson-red hair and blue-green eyes. He is dressed in a caped shoulder armor that makes him appear tough. Graphia, sweetie, what do you think of this man here? He asked as he pointed to one of the screens. The woman in her early 20s is stunning, with silver hair and matching eyes. Her hair cascades down to her back, with a long braid on each side and small blue ribbons at the ends, while the rest is down and ends in 2 braids. Her outfit consists of a blue and white French maid outfit with long sleeves and a white maid headband over her head, as well as red lipstick. She also appeared to be very professional. Graphia Lucifuge is the queen and Seer's wife. Her title is the strongest queen, owing to her immense strength, which rivals that of the 4 Satans. The man in the brown coat and suit was shown on the screen blasting a gust of wind at a group of Medusas, vicious creatures that were once women but have snakes for hair, scaly snake bodies, and venomous fangs to go along with yellow eyes. Seer's. The man in the brown coat is Jin Caria, a member and leader of the Soul Vampires, Graphia explained professionally. We've known about them for a long time, as you know, but... She then looked at the other 2 screens, which showed the black hooded figure and the blonde whiskered teenager, each with their own strange abilities, battling giant scorpion-like creatures and the Nemean lion. Those 2 are a complete mystery. To have gone so long without any kind of detection is impressive.
Yes, but I'm more interested in the young boy, who clearly had combat training and whose abilities are somewhat different yet unique.
Graphia looked at her husband, who appeared to be daydreaming. What exactly are you thinking? I have a feeling things are going to get interesting around here from now on. Heaven's throne, the heavens, home of the God of the Bible and his creations, the angels, are a bright world with everlasting sun and peaceful tranquility that stands in contrast to the realm of the underworld. Wow. The Olympians have strong champions, don't they, Michael? Inquired a childlike woman. She was stunning, with curly blonde hair, blue eyes, and a voluptuous figure. She was dressed in white armor like her brother, with a halo floating above her head. Gabriel is the second-in-command angel and seraph of the heavenly throne. Her stunning beauty earned her the title, the most beautiful woman in heaven. Yes, Gabriel, the angel replied, staring at the 3 floating projection screens in front of them. Michael had long blonde hair, green eyes, and 12 golden wings, as opposed to his sister's 10 white wings. He was dressed in his sister's golden armor, with a golden halo over his head. He is the archangel and the current leader of the heavenly forces in charge of maintaining order on Earth. I've heard of humans having the ability to use magic, but those 2. He pointed to the screen, which displayed repeats of Naruto fighting the lion and the black hooded figure dispatching the scorpions. They have the ability to change things around here.
If one of them demonstrates purity of heart and lacks wickedness and hatred, he can reincarnate him as one of them, an angel or even a seraph alongside him and his other siblings if he demonstrates extreme power while remaining humble. What do you mean? Gabriel asked her older brother as he watched the fights in front of them.
I mean, they're going to be targets. Unknown address. Chuckle, I'm not sure how Hades found me, but I'm glad he did because he just showed me 3 potential candidates for the 3 artificial sacred deer I just invented, said a man in green robes standing while watching the 3 screens. With black and golden bangs, a small black goatee, and 12 jet black wings on his back, he appeared to be in his 20s. Azazel is the governor of the Grigori and the leader of the fallen angels. This is exactly what he required for his research. He assumes, however, that his rival, Michael, is also watching the wager, and as such, he must move quickly and snatch one of the 3 champions without the gods knowing about it. Throughout the centuries, he had heard rumors that the Olympians were protective and serious about their game during their reign, as well as the champions who represented them and would retaliate no matter what.
That tall guy with the scar on his chin is powerful, but how powerful exactly? That tall guy with the scar on his chin is powerful, but how powerful exactly? The blonde whiskered kid looks powerful too. First there's that boy who attends Kuo Academy with a very powerful sacred gear, and now these 2 appear out of nowhere with interesting powers unlike anything he's ever seen.
If he keeps watching the wager, he'll probably find out soon.
He doesn't appear to be so tough, Azazel. When the person who spoke approached Azazel and looked at him, he chuckled. The individual is a young man with dark silver hair and light blue eyes who is dressed in dark clothing, a black coat with matching shirt and pants.
Don't be hasty to criticize someone's appearance, Valley. You should never underestimate your opponents if you've never met them, Azazel, who was sitting behind him, said. Come on, take a seat, relax, and try to enjoy the show, Valley said as he sat down next to the fallen angel.
After a few hours, Los Angeles. The Griffith Observatory is one of Los Angeles' tourist attractions, with cutting-edge space technology and knowledgeable experts to teach visitors from other states and countries. Unfortunately, the road leading to the building is congested with cars attempting to reach the observatory's special event, the viewing of Halley's Comet.
A mother of 3 is waiting for her seat in a Chevy SUV, a look of frustration on her face. A boy, one of her children, was looking out the right rear window when he noticed an invisible figure sprint past them. "Mommy! Mommy!" cried the terrified child. "What exactly is it? I just happened to see the predator." In response, the mother sighed and expressed regret for allowing her son to watch the Predators movies. She did notice a small dirt trail on a nearby closed dirt path and wondered if her son was correct. "Woo! Finally made it!" exclaimed Naruto as he leapt and landed on the H of the well-known sign, Hollywood. "Good thing I learned English through the telepathy link and the sage's training. Thank heavens for man's vast and adaptable intelligence." "Yes, but where do we go from here?" Kurama asked as Naruto deactivated the transparency jutsu, revealing his body to the rest of the world. The boy learned the technique by remembering Jiraiya, who used it to spy on women for his research, as he called it. The sea god didn't specify where we should go next. "Good point," Naruto said before an idea came to him. If Poseidon can communicate with him in Kurama, there must be a link somewhere. The issue is trying to locate the link. "We've got to try," Kurama grumbled, sitting cross-legged and preparing to meditate in order to find the link. A huge weight tackled against his back before he could attempt to meditate, and he rolled downhill. When Naruto rolled against and brought down rows of trees, big and small, Kurama winced and cringed. Because of his tenacity, when he finally came to a halt in a clearing with no one nearby, he addressed the boy. "How are you, Naruto?" "No, Kurama. I just enjoyed the whatever tackled me down the hill and smashed through trees game," Naruto remarked sarcastically as he struggled to get back up. He was about to respond to Kurama when he heard shuffling behind him and dived forward before rolling, causing whoever tackled him to miss this time. "I thought you were better than this, Poseidon's champion," he said, his voice snarled with disgust and rage. Naruto looked up to see the man in the brown coat with the scar on his chin standing in the air as if it were the ground itself. "You're the champion of Zeus. I'm going to kick your ass for making me roll down the hill," Naruto exclaimed animatedly, his right fist shaking with rage. "I didn't even sense him coming at all. He must be skilled at concealing his spirit energy. He's most likely a captain-level fighter." He jumped and gathered the reishi from the air and stood at the same altitude as his opponent. Reishi is less plentiful in the world of the living than it is in Soul Society. How can the pitiful seaweed of an Olympian choose you as his champion?
Naruto averted his gaze from the man. "You'd better watch what you say, bud. Besides, how do you manage to stand in the air like that? I can tell you're not a Shinigami." A flash of rage flashed across the man's face, giving Naruto a new theory. "You despise the Shinigami for what they did to you. Do you consider yourself a bound?" That came across more as a statement than a question. "Are you related to the lady who died on the train tracks 2 weeks ago?" After a brief silence, the man smirked smugly. "So you are a Shinigami ally. Do you happen to know anyone named Ichigo Kurosaki?" The motionless blonde did not respond. "It doesn't matter because I already know him and you, Uzumaki."
"How did you get my last name?" "Back in the hall, Kabuto only mentioned my first name." "And about that lady you mentioned. Yoshino is her name, and she sometimes runs away from us, but she always returns to us in some way." Naruto narrowed his eyes, suppressing his rage at the man for ignoring his question about his name and talking about the woman as if she were a dog that would return to its owner. "Why would they have you as an ally, a human?" "Like I'm about to tell you, Jin Kariya is the bounce leader." "I didn't request your title or name, jackass." Naruto deadpanned as the sun slowly dipped below the horizon, allowing nighttime to take over. "So, I'm going to guess Zeus told you about the prize located here. Then that means," he replied with a firm nod. Naruto was cut off when he used his right hand to block a punch. The impact of the fists in the air created a small shockwave. "Aren't we eager?" he inquired before delivering a powerful left high kick to the chin. Kariya stopped the attack before it could connect with a knee strike, effectively stopping its full movement. Both fighters let go of each other and jumped back, taking in each other's physical abilities. Amazing reflexes. I've lived for thousands of years and have never met anyone who could intercept my attacks and remain unfazed by them. Even with Zeus' gauntlet strengthening my attributes, Kariya observed as he glanced at the gauntlet on his left arm. "I'm truly flattered," Naruto said, looking at the golden fleece before returning his gaze to Kariya. Could he have blocked that amplified punch if he hadn't had the golden fleece? That's a question for another time, because the man took something from his coat that appears to be a card case. What do you intend to do with it? Karya's right arm was encased in a brief glow that dimmed to reveal a sort of weapon merged with his right arm and emblazoned with a strange symbol in a solidified wind blade coming out of it. Oh, I see. As a result, your weapon can manipulate wind. Regrettably, that will have to wait.
When he heard this, Karya raised an eyebrow but kept his guard up. How astute of you to be aware of my doll's power, but what do you mean by waiting? Suddenly, the cheerful blonde entered his personal space and said 3 words.
Explosion of shadow clone. A loud explosion in the air is an excellent way to draw the attention of terrified tourists. A few moments ago, somewhere in Los Angeles, Naruto looked around as he walked through the crowds on the busy streets. His sword is locked away to avoid the panic of a delusional teen on the loose. For defensive and security purposes, he created several clones and stationed them throughout the city as checkpoints to see if Kabuto and Zeus Champion were present. A loud explosion was heard a moment later, frightening the people around him and alerting authorities. When he received his clone's memories, Naruto smirked. Shadow Clone Jutsu. I adore that technique, as well as its variant jutsus. So his name is Karya, and he is the leader of the bounce. He then noticed people passing by staring at him, specifically his arm. I guess Poseidon was right about everyone mistaking the fleece for something else. A few comments about, what happened to his arm, nice cast, and cool jacket were thrown around, but it didn't matter to him. He eventually came to a halt in front of a building inside, not knowing what to do next. Do you have any ideas, Kurama? Naruto asked, his hands in his jacket pockets. Kurama? Take a look at the structure next to you. As he complied, Naruto raised a puzzled brow. Is there anything there? I'm not sure, but something seems to be calling to me. Don't you sense it? Now that he thinks about it, there was something that drew him to construction. He had no idea how to navigate the busy streets of one of America's major cities, but he arrived without incident. Okay, Kurama, you're on to something. Let's go check it out, Naruto grumbled as he walked up the stairs to the building. When he arrived at the entrance, he was stopped by a hand that belonged to a man dressed in a black suit. He conversed with the man in English. How come you stopped me, mister? The museum is closing, kid. Take a look at the sign. Naruto followed the man's finger point behind him and discovered a sign displaying the opening and closing time, which was now. Kid, you'll have to wait until tomorrow, the man said with a stern tone. Do you mind if I ask if there is any sort of event going on in the museum? An archaeologist discovered a very rare and ancient artifact from a Greek temple. According to what I've heard, it's a myth. Naruto shook his head, perplexed. Can you tell me what it is? Okay. Guess I'll have to wait until tomorrow to see this artifact, the man said, shaking his head. Thank you, and good night. He said his goodbyes to the man and walked around the corner until he came to an ally. Looking around, Naruto ran up the wall like it was solid ground until he reached the roof and walked over to the ledge to find the museum adjacent to the building. He took a binoculars from a green scroll and examined the building for any entrances and exits, as well as the surrounding buildings for potential escape routes for what he was about to do. This will be a piece of cake, Naruto said, switching back to his Japanese dialect and making a few hand gestures. Jutsu for transparency. With the thought of easy echoing in the blonde's mind, his body once again blended with the nighttime skies and stars. A few minutes later, alarms began to sound throughout the building, and the familiar sirens of police cars signaled their arrival. Oh, no. How the hell did that happen? Yelled Naruto as he sunshined on the roof of another building about 3 blocks away from the museum. I was cautious the entire time. You were until you lifted the glass case from the display, which set off the alarm. Did you not pay attention to the movies? Forget I said that. Kurama cursed himself as Naruto did a double take. I would never hear you say something like that in a million years. I'm going to have a good time teasing you. Naruto commented with a smile, ignoring Kurama's curses. He examined the object under his armpit and placed it in front of him while kneeling on his right knee. It was an odd-looking stone of unknown material with an ocean blue color and a strange picture depicting a creature with a horse's head and strange-looking limbs. What exactly is that? You have to go to the beach. For a brief moment, Naruto's eyes widened as he realized it was Poseidon. Why? Is this the prize? No, the reward is near the ocean, but you'll need the assistance of the creature inside that stone to get it. I can sense its yearning for freedom, Poseidon lamented, which Naruto picked up on with his keen ear. All right then. Naruto secured the stone under his left armpit and began running through the air towards the nearest and less crowded beach, enduring another jolt of a painful headache. Naruto kept thinking about the creature in the stone as he took cover in the blanket of foggy clouds. There are many different types of creatures in Greek mythology, not to mention other religions and myths, but Poseidon spoke about the creature as if he personally knew it and considered it family. Oh, Kurama apparently figured it out as well. Naruto nodded and began his descent to the ground below when he saw a beach by gradually reducing the amount of reishi under his feet. That changed when a loud screech from the sky drew his attention, and Naruto's eyes widened as he saw a massive creature nose-diving straight at him. Naruto. Naruto grunted in response before stopping the channel flow and being pulled down by gravity, narrowly dodging the creature's head but being knocked off his feet and losing the stone in the process. He landed on the water's surface with chakra under his feet after righting himself in midair. Naruto searched for the stone and discovered it 20 yards away from him, close to the shore. Another loud screech caught his attention before he could even make a move. When Naruto looked up and saw a clear image of the creature who wanted him for dinner, surprise didn't even come close. A massive eagle with yellow lightning-colored eyes and golden armor covering its equally massive body, wings, and head floated in front of him. The rider on top of its head was none other than Karia, whose pants were charred but his coat and shirt were gone, leaving only his torso and a strange tattoo on his left side exposed. Aside from that, he didn't appear to be in any pain. "Did you like the gift I sent you, Karia?" While keeping his guard up, he teased Naruto with a grin. His response came from behind him, not from Karia. "I see you're still a child. You haven't changed much, Naruto," Kabuto said as the earth shook. Naruto sighed as he turned to face him, only to be met by another massive creature's limp, forcing him to shunshine to the ocean behind the eagle and Karia. He then looked ahead to see the creature standing guard next to Kabuto. It was a large creature with charcoal skin, a lava-like rash, and lines around its body, but its most distinguishing feature was 3 dog-like heads, each with red eyes. The only thing the two animals have in common is their enormous size. "You've got to be kidding. Cerberus and the eagle."
These are Hades and Zeus's symbols. Then he noticed something else. Karia and Kabuto aren't fighting because they only attacked him. That can only mean one thing. "You guys are working together, aren't you?" said Naruto, biting his thumb and drawing blood before making the necessary hand signs. He was about to summon something when a bright blue light shone behind him. He looked over his shoulder and noticed that the stone he was carrying was growing. "What the?"
Cerberus and the eagle snarled and screeched at the unknown, while Karia and Kabuto had different reactions, one stunned, the other intrigued. The enormous figure stopped growing and the light stopped shining, allowing the champions to focus on the creature. None of them were as taken aback as Naruto, who gaped like a fish.
The creature was enormous, easily the same size as Gamabunta but larger than Cerberus and eagle. It has a horse-like head, arthropod limbs in front with 3 massive claws on the back, a massive bulk, and a long serpent-like tail. The majority of its body is made up of water, with a molten lava-like core in the center protected by massive amounts of rock.
Naruto had read about this creature numerous times and was well aware of what it was. This is the Hippocampi, Poseidon's personal creatures who pulled his chariot in ancient Greece. The creature lowered its head to Naruto's gaping mouth and squealed at him, as if thanking him. Sure. No problem," Naruto said before snapping out of his trance. "Will you help me beat these clowns and win the wager for Poseidon?" he asked, slowly placing his hand on the creature's massive head, which nuzzled against his touch. His response was a positive snort. "That's all right." As the Hippocampi lifted its head to face its new opponents, Naruto climbed to the top of its head and held on with chakra. Things are finally picking up in this wager. The Hippocampi roared loudly, agreeing with the one who set him free and preparing for the upcoming battle. To be continued.
That's it for this podcast. Thanks for listening to this video. If you did enjoy this part of the story, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for having support and have a great day.